My name is Kathryn House, and I'm here today to talk about the Roero DOCG Arnés. So the Roero DOCG is located up in Piemonte, and it's located up in the hills, if I can actually see where my finger is, right here in Roero. It's in the northwest corner of north of Alba in the sandy hills. And there you're going to find two primary varieties. You're going to find Nebbiolo and Arnés. And today we're going to talk primarily Arnés because that's the wine that we want to discuss in the region that we want to discuss. So the Roero DOC became a DOC in 1985, and it became a DOCG in 2005. Arnés is known as white Barolo, primarily because it's been blended with Nebbiolo up to 5% in the past to make the red Roero wines. 97% of all Arnés is grown in Piemonte, and that equates to about overall 2,400 acres in Italy. So if you do the math, it's still over 2,000 acres that are grown in Piemonte. This white variety was first noted in the 1400s in the hill of Renecio in Canale, and Arnés means rascal in the dialect of Piemonte. And so you can think about what that means in regard to the vine itself. It's a vigorous vine, it's susceptible to powdery mildew, but not downy mildew. And it's a wine that a grape that tends to get pretty full-bodied and lose a bit of its acid if it becomes overripe. So it's typically ripened in the middle of, up to the middle of September. If it goes past September, it tends to be a little too ripe. It's aromatic and full-bodied, as I mentioned, typically medium to low acidity, and has notes of floral, white flower, chamomile, typically citrus and some stone fruits like peach and apricot as well. It was all but lost in 1970s, Arnés was, and the only people making it were Viette and Bruno Giacosa. But in the 1980s, there was a little bit of a change, and there was some renowned interest in it, kind of from a cult aspect. People were interested in bringing Arnés back, and so we started to see more plantings of Arnés alongside some of the other white varieties that were becoming popular in Italy as well. Now, in regard to the DOCG, 95% or more Arnés is needed to be in a wine that has a DOCG Arnés designation. And so other white varieties may be in there as well that are typically found in the area. There's an 11% minimum alcohol level, though there are a lot of producers that will find that will have higher alcohol levels. And as far as production limits, we're looking at about 9 tons per hectare as far as vines that are mature that are 7 years old or more. In Roero DOC, you'll also find Arnés, as I mentioned before, blended with Nebbiolo up to 5%, similar to you would find in a Côte Rôtie blend in France of Syrah and Viognier. There's actually some thought that perhaps planting the Arnés, in between the Nebbiolo vines was a way in which birds would actually go after those Arnés fruit and spare the Nebbiolo fruit for harvesting. So that's some of the thought of why they were co-planted together. Now, comparative wines that you'll find in Piemonte that you might be comparing Arnés to would be things like Cortese, which is from Gave, of course. When we talk about Gave di Gave, from the city of Gave itself, you'll find Cortese. It tends to be higher acid, a little more minerally and citrusy. There's also Erbaluce, which is very high acid, floral, green apple sort of notes, and that sort of mineral background. So both of those would be comparative but slightly different. Not quite the full body nature, not quite the heavier alcohol, and not quite the lower acidity that we will find with Arnés. Now, coming to talk about a wine that would be a great example of the Roero DOCG Arnés is the Viette 2015, and I have a glass here so that we can talk just a little bit about this wine. So you can see from the color, as we're talking about it, it's a straw yellow sort of color. And one thing that we won't be able to see on the video that you can see in here is there are some very small bubbles in this. And it's quite interesting because this, just in how the wine itself was produced. This wine was grown in the Roero region, outside of a small village. It was imported by Della Terra Imports, and this Viette was grown outside the village Santo Stefano Roero. The vines are 4,500 to 5,000 vines per hectare, And this wine was harvested, pressed, and clarified, and then fermented at 50 to 53 degrees Fahrenheit. So slightly, not a super cold fermentation, slightly warmer but still chilled, and it was done in a stainless steel autoclave to keep in some of that carbon dioxide, which are those little tiny bubbles that I mentioned before, again, just to keep the freshness of the wine. This wine itself, we can see here, as we go through and smell, has some of those definite stone fruit sort of characteristics, some pear, I would say some light apricot. You're also finding some melon notes in here, and a little bit of almond as well. And so I'll taste just to verify that and also talk about the structure of the wine as well. So the wine itself is medium bodied. It does have a crispness of acidity. I would not be surprised if it was acidulated. I checked on the bottle and on the website, and it said 13.8% alcohol. And so because of that, the wine itself is definitely a little more full bodied, higher alcohol. I would not be shocked if they acidulated the wine. But it's a nice wine. It definitely would be comparable to something like a newer old Chardonnay. And you're actually seeing Arnais come back into fashion. And Jean Bonnet out of the United States wrote in one article that he was interested in seeing more Italian white wines as becoming a trend, and he thinks that this year might be the year 2017 for those to come back in style, particularly talking about Gavi and Cortese and Friuli and Alto Adige, but also Arnais could follow the coattails of that. So I'm looking forward to seeing more Arnais out in the marketplace. Thank you.